There is a massive Liberal retreat that happens at the end of August. And before then, usually there's a cabinet shuffle that's announced, which is pretty much what everyone is speculating is going to happen in the coming weeks. And then they use that Liberal vacation, let's just call it now, to get to know everyone in their new positions, and then everyone gets their script for the upcoming political season. So that's kind of what we're preparing for, and we have a little bit more of an idea now as to who is going into what position. And it's not really advantageous for the Liberals. In addition to that, we have a little bit more insight on how corrupt the police kind of are becoming here in Canada. It's really not good. For a police state, you'd think that there'd be a little bit more authority, but no, people are just getting let out literally to go commit more crimes in front of police officers' eyes. And then we also have Joe Rogan, who absolutely slams Justin Trudeau yet again. And Joe Rogan, for those who don't know, is a massive fan of Canada. He comes up to Canada a lot for fishing, for hunting, for Mary Jane, for a lot of different reasons, right? And that just doesn't seem to be the case anymore. And you have a lot of high-profile people that are speaking up about the fact that they just don't have an interest in coming to Canada because of our political leader, which is something that, I mean, if you said that like 20 years ago, you're not going to go to a country because of one leader, that would be crazy. But look at what Trudeau has done as a singular individual. It is kind of bizarro world. But nonetheless, let's get into this video. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I want to encourage you all to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It does really help grow the channel. And we're going to start off with the polls like we always do. So Conservatives are still sitting at 214 projected seats, bottom line 179, top end at 234. Liberals are at a measly 71 seats, and the NDP, I need to almost put my glasses on. Is that 18? And look at that. It's still in the double digits. Good for them. 99% likely for winning the most seats for the Conservatives and 99% likely for a majority government. So everything in the polls is looking pretty good right there. What's not looking good is this caravan for Palestine, which is happening tomorrow, July 21st, for those who didn't know about this. So massive rally planned for Niagara this Sunday. This will cause traffic chaos. This will hurt tourism at the falls, but that's part of the plan, says Brian Lilly. Meet up 10 a.m. Cineplex in Mississauga, en route 10:30 in Hamilton, and 12:20 p.m. in Niagara Falls. So I can only assume that that's going to be pretty massive, considering every single Palestinian protest has had quite a few people. And then in other news, I want to welcome back one of the most awesomest Conservative members, Raquel Dancho. We haven't seen or heard from her in a very, very long time, which is why my reply to her tweet was, welcome back. And everyone's saying, you're back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. She did have a kid, and I guess she's just stayed out of everything for quite some time since she had that kid. So congratulations, and let's take a look at what she's sharing. So our police services are dealing with a violent crime wave, while the federal government keeps making it easier for the suspects that they arrest to get bail and reoffend. Conservatives will put an end to this vicious cycle. This is the Winnipeg police chief, who is stretched to limit in-crime fight, acting chief says. Violent crime in Winnipeg is up 12.1%, according to the most recent police statistics. Stabbing, shootings, murders, assaults, bear spray attacks, graping, drug trafficking, to name a few. That is wild. And what do? Well, not really much. And we're going to take a look at some more police failure cases here in Canada. You have this guy right here, the chair of the Peel Police Services Board. Some individuals who were brought before a judge for stealing a car were let off, only to go into a courthouse parking lot and steal another car. Only in Canada would this craziness happen.
You know, it sounds like a joke. We've talked about the problems with car thefts. What actually happened here in our GTA jurisdiction? Some guy's up before a judge for having stolen a car, gets let off, and went into the parking lot of the courthouse and stole another car. You can't make this stuff up. And that's what gets people frustrated. But can you imagine what it does to our enforcement people that say, here we are doing what it takes, the countless hours, efforts, energy, risk, and then we find out it's a bit of a catch and release system. I must tell you, because you asked the question, I'm glad, it is top of mind concern for my council and our mayors that everybody involved, from the federal government on down, needs to have a cold, hard look at what it is when we allow people who are the perpetrators of crime to freely go out, and the record shows commit more crime while they're waiting for a hearing date. Something's got to give there, and my heart goes out to the victims and to the people in uniform that say, they must want to beat their heads against the wall when they get home some nights and say, what is the point of this if I know these people are back out on the street? So thank you very much for your question. I know it is being reviewed in earnest, but we need stronger results on that file, especially from our federal partners. Thank you.
Okay, so never mind the car theft aspect. This exact scenario has played out, if I'm not mistaken, with murderers. People have committed very violent crimes where they get let out, they wait for their hearing, they wait for their judgment day, and they go and they commit the same acts again. And the victims are dead. They've murdered those victims. That's the state of Canada. Imagine knowing that the person that killed your friend or family was let out on bail for that exact crime. It's just absolutely insane what's happening, and everyone everywhere is thinking, how the hell do we fix this? Well, Keith Wilson has this to say on X. Top court says the government can be held liable for making unconstitutional laws. And I wonder if one of these unconstitutional laws would be the fact that, hey, man, you got to get rid of the soft on crime policy here. This next clip is something that may not be applicable to you. I personally find this really cool as someone who lived in a van for 4 years and, lived that minimalism life, obviously. This is like van life, but different. Bike life. So there's this bike that was spotted in Toronto that's pulling this like little camper, essentially. Let's just take a look at what I'm talking about here.
Is it just me? Or does somebody else live inside of a bicycle? In my bike, got a desk, got a microwave, power.
Yeah, got some solar probably.
Got a bed, storage underneath the bed, little toilet.
So people watching this might be thinking, Mr. Sunshine, you're crazy for thinking that. But I lived in square footage that maybe was 2-3 times bigger than that for quite some time. And it's fun because it's on wheels and you can take your life with you wherever you want. But that in Toronto, I could see that going for $475,000. You got to put $150 down to get your mortgage for that. Kind of crazy. But let me know if you've ever been interested in minimalism. It's pretty cool. I'm still trying to hold on to that minimalism aspect, even though we're in a house, but it's not working. The kids just take over all the toys. This just takes over the house. But what once was my life is now just a dream. Let me know though if you guys have ever been interested in minimalism. It's a pretty cool concept, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Next up, we have Jagmeet Singh here, who is going after corporate greed again. That's his whole shtick. Is he just can't fix it on anything other than it's the greedy CEOs. Let's take a look.
Across the country, here in Edmonton, we had a town hall yesterday. We're hearing from people about the cost of living. People are feeling stressed out. They're feeling squeezed. You're going into the grocery store and spending more than ever before and leaving with less than ever before. And we also hear when it comes to housing. And as Tricia said, we know here in Edmonton has seen some of the highest rent increases across the country happening here in Edmonton. And we know on the other side of that, there are corporate landlords that are ripping you off. But what makes matters even worse is that in the case of Edmonton, one of the largest corporate landlords is receiving public help from the federal government. So this large corporate landlord, in this case it's Boardwalk REIT, is getting federal supports, federal money. They're getting CMHC-backed insurance to support lower interest loans. So they're getting this help, and they're turning around and ripping off Canadians. That's wrong. We're going to stop that. We're going to send a clear message. If you don't treat your tenants fairly, if you don't ensure that your rents are affordable, if you are going to rip off your tenants and not maintain a safe and clean apartment building, then we're going to cancel any federal supports you get. That's a way of sending a message that corporate greed has no place here, that we want to put people first. Let's change the rules so that people are the priority, not the profits of these billion-dollar corporations. Let's change the rules so we protect tenants, people that are renting, families, not the CEOs of these large corporations that are making massive profits. That's what New Democrats are all about. And that's what.
Okay, so that just seems like scatterbrained. He's talking about protecting renters, and then he says that that's going to help get rid of the greedy CEOs of massive corporations. Doesn't make any sense. You want to protect renters, just implement a rent cap. That's pretty much as simple as it gets. Or make sure that you can't charge rent more than 15% of whatever your mortgage is, or something along the lines. But that's going to piss a lot of people off, and I don't know if that's really going to work. And this is kind of the free market finding its balance. But I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Does the renting market need to be fixed, or do mortgage interest rates need to be fixed? All of the above, none of the above. Let it fly free. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Next up, we have the clip of Joe Rogan from his latest podcast, where he absolutely just craps on Justin Trudeau. It's going pretty viral there on X. Joe Rogan, Justin Trudeau, fuck you, I'm done with Canada. He says that he's never stepping foot in Canada again until they get rid of that guy, because they're in the middle of a full-blown communist takeover. I just don't trust any of it up there. I think that they're so far into tyranny right now. The laws that they're passing, the shit that they're doing, the erosion of people's rights, like, I don't want to support it. I think it's effing horrible. They're in the middle of a full-blown communist takeover, which is pretty much exactly how most of us feel here in Canada, right? Like, let me know down below if you agree with that statement, but I'll shut up and let's take a look at Rogan's video here.
I love Canada. Vancouver's one of the most beautiful cities.
I don't go to Canada anymore. But
Ever?
No.
You wouldn't do a gig there?
Not while that guy's president. Fuck you.
Yeah,
Or Prime Minister.
Well,
Prime
these people
Minister.
are fans of yours. They want to see you still.
Fuck you. Get rid of that guy. I'll come back. I just don't trust any of it up there.
Yeah.
I just think they're so far into tyranny right now. Like, the laws that they're passing, the shit that they're doing, the erosion of people's rights. Like, I don't want to support it. I think it's fucking horrible.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people there just want to laugh. I think people need a laugh. You
Oh
know?
yeah, they definitely need a laugh. They're in the middle of a full-blown communist takeover. Yeah, it's a scary spot.
Yeah.
It's scary, but it used to be amazing. I used to say that Canada's 20% less douchebags. Like, the people are 20% nicer than most people that you meet in America.
They're polite.
But that's why they get roped into all this shit. That's why they get roped into hate speech laws, because they want to be kind. They want to be good people. And they don't realize, like, compelled speech has a terrible ending. It always ends in communism, because someone has to compel that speech. Who does? The people with guns. And they tell you what to do.
Yeah.
And then you have violence that is enforced to get people to follow a doctrine that they may or may not believe in.
There you go. And this is, I mean, he's preaching to the choir here. Like, this is what a lot of people that are already living in Canada or have ties to Canada know, is that something needs to happen, and it needs to happen fast. People are talking about leaving Canada because they don't want to stay here anymore. The land is beautiful. The people are awesome. But what's happening with all these policies, crime is through the roof. I mean, for crying out loud, even the police admit, the police chiefs admit, yeah, crime is rampant. We don't know what to do. That is not something that I would ever want to hear from the police. I'd want the police to say, yeah, no, we're doing everything we can. We're doing everything we can, and we're going to do more. This needs to be tackled. Instead, they're just kind of giving up. Absolutely crazy. And it just seems it seems like it's a battle between good and evil, right and wrong right now. And we're heading into a massive shift culturally, right? With all the momentum that the United States is carrying, there's a lot of people in Canada that, I mean, follow American news. Our economies are tied at the hip almost. And not just that, but they're also supporting Donald Trump. Like, I personally like Donald Trump. I've said that previously in recent videos. And there's a lot of people up here that are just fed up with this narrative. And the more vocal America becomes about standing up against all this woke stuff, the more Canadians are going to be following suit as well, even though obviously Canadians have been doing this for a very long time, standing up and being very vocal about that. And you might be one of them. I see it in the comments all the time. And in our Conservative Party of Canada here, our opposition is doing a pretty good job of standing up to that, right? Pierre has said that there's two genders. He doesn't want men in women's bathrooms. And I did say in a previous video that Pierre hasn't said that he doesn't want women men in women's sports, right? That whole transgender narrative for the sports aspect, because Donald Trump did just say that he is going to put an end to that immediately at his speech at the RNC, and I was immediately corrected in the comments, and I apologize. So this is me making that that correction right now. Pierre Poilievre actually did say that once upon a time. It just wasn't on the global stage of the RNC, you know, like the way Donald Trump did. So it did skip my mind there for a second. So thank you everybody for correcting me down in the comments. So Pierre is standing up to it in a more Canadian way, not as Donald Trump-esque, which is fine, right? But it's going to be interesting to see how Canada changes culturally, socially, and economically once the Liberals inevitably lose the next election. And speaking of election here, we have this awesome clip that this is why people are flocking to the Conservatives or the Republicans, is because they're standing up to this corruption on so many levels. This is a bit of an older clip, but I really love this. This is where Pierre has said that he will not allow anyone from his cabinet to be a part of the World Economic Forum.
No staff, no ministers, no MPs in my caucus will be involved whatsoever in that organization. It is a group of high-flying, high-tax, high-carbon hypocrites who all got on their private jets to fly off to a remote ski village where they talked about how working class people should not be allowed to heat their homes or drive their pickup trucks. I'm not going to work for a group of globalist billionaires who serve their own interests at the expense of everyone else. And I'd like to specifically point out Mark Carney. Here he was celebrating the central banks who caused the inflation by printing trillions of dollars so that people like multimillionaires like him could have their asset values inflated, while the purchasing power of working class people and seniors was wasted away by inflation. A massive wealth transfer from the have-nots to the have-yachts. A common-sense conservative government will bring home control of our democracy to this country, and it's not just on that issue. We will ban the IRGC to end the interference of the 700 agents that are operating in this country on behalf of the terrorist regime in Tehran, and that's according to Global News. We will shut down foreign-controlled police stations. We will bring in a foreign influence registry. We will bring home control of our democracy, and we'll make this a country that works for its people, the common people, and the common sense of the common people, united for our common home. Thank you.
Your home, my home, our home, let's bring it home. And this is why a lot of people are flocking to Pierre, because his message is consistently on point. I just want to know what you guys think down below before I go to the next piece here. What do you think about him standing up against the World Economic Forum and saying no one from my cabinet or my government is going to be a part of that? Let me know what you guys think down below. So remember, not too long ago, Seamus O'Regan, he stepped down. He said, I'm done with Justin Trudeau, which is insane, because even though he was a bit of a backbencher, he kind of crept a bit in the shadows. He rose with Justin Trudeau. He has been a politician for as long as Justin Trudeau has. He's been a massive advisor and a trusted individual to Justin Trudeau for a very long time. It's not like he was just some random dude. He's been in the game for a tremendous amount of time, and he just got up and left. And Trudeau says, okay, sure, I support your decision. So he's replaced him with somebody. He's replaced him with Stephen McKinnon, Canada's new Minister of Labour and Seniors. Stephen, you're such a committed member of our team for years, and your experience in labour negotiations, health reform, and public policy will serve Canadians well in this role. And I've seen this from a mile away. Stephen McKinnon is a pawn in Justin Trudeau's game. He is just some schmuck who's going to be the scapegoat at the end of the day. I'm calling it right now. Here's what the mainstream media has to say about the switcheroo here.
No complaints from the man who has been named the new Minister of Labour. Steve McKinnon got the job after Seamus O'Regan resigned from Cabinet on Thursday. CTV's Jeremy Charon on the switch and what came of a cabinet meeting today.
Lovely day.
A new role for a familiar face.
I, Stephen Garrett McKinnon.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau today named Steve McKinnon his new Labour and Seniors Minister. The Gatineau MP takes over for outgoing Minister Seamus O'Regan, who announced yesterday he won't run for re-election. McKinnon had been filling in for Karina Gold as government House Leader. She's expected to return from parental leave this month. He takes on the new portfolio amid growing challenges for the slumping Liberal minority government.
I detect a resolve among all of my caucus and cabinet colleagues to continue doing the work as we enter what will undoubtedly be a productive year, I think, a challenging year.
Still, speculation of a larger summer cabinet shuffle looms as Trudeau convened his cabinet for a virtual meeting today, the first of its kind since last month's shocking Toronto by-election loss.
We are also seen at times as being responsible for those challenges in and around affordability, and we're also responsible to make life a little more affordable for Canadians.
And so while today's move within cabinet was minimal, the departure of a high-profile minister and longtime friend of the Prime Minister is sparking talk about what could become a growing trend.
Right now, Justin Trudeau's political coattails are pretty short. And if for any federal Liberal MP, they're going to have to run on their own record and on their own reputation.
Now, the Prime Minister is set to spend the next 2 weeks on summer vacation, but it's expected when he returns, the Liberals will be trying to figure out how to achieve a much-needed political refresh. Marella?
Jeremy is in Ottawa.
Kind of crazy that all this is happening and it's not really pushed down our throats in the media or on social media the way that other things are. But this is huge, ladies and gentlemen. This is absolutely huge because this is the first meeting, like you heard the reporter say, it's the first meeting that they've had since the tremendous loss of the by-election, and they are reshuffling everyone. And I know everyone's busy with summertime. I know everyone's busy, enjoying the weather and living their best life, right? Trying to stay a little bit away from politics, but I would try, if I were you guys, I would keep a little bit close ear to what's going on, because you're going to see some massive changes in the next couple of weeks when Justin Trudeau makes bigger announcements when he comes back from his summer vacation, probably in Tofino or something like that. But in August, it's going to be massive updates, and then things pick up again and become very much in our face in September with the rise of political season, and then they're going to be starting to campaign very, very shortly. So this is the last big move that they can make before they lock everyone in their position, because all these by-elections are going to be happening, and then it's going to be the federal election next year, and they can't possibly, if it was this time next year, they can't just switch someone out, 2-3 months before a federal election. It's just not going to work. They're not going to do that. So these are the final changes, and it's going to be pretty wild. We're going to see something that's going to be pretty spectacular, and it's just not going to work in their favor. But nonetheless, it's going to be very interesting to be paying attention to politics in the next 12 to 14 months. That's where we're going to end this video. I would love to know what you guys think down below in the comments about any of the topics that were covered. On your way out, I would like to encourage you guys to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to support the channel, might as well hit that membership button down below. It's very, very affordable to do that, and it does go a long way. Thank you very much. See you guys in the next one. Bye for now.